Now, before we start this video, everyone who's wearing a blue shirt, go change your shirt. No blue shirts. No. Now, if you aren't an avid subscriber of mine, which I mean, if you're not, why? Seriously, why? Is there something wrong with me? But anyway, a while ago, I covered a movie called LaQuisha. And this movie is about a grown white man who hosts a radio talk show. But it's not just any radio talk show. He puts on the voice and mannerisms of a very stereotypical black woman in order to boost views.
Live with LaQuisha. What's your problem?
Hi, LaQuisha. It's Bree.
Oh, I ain't talking to you, not the way you sound. Next caller.
He then proceeds to give advice, which apparently is such goddamn good advice that he could talk someone out of killing themselves.
I'm on a bridge above the river, and I'm gonna jump.
But thanks for calling. Enjoy your jump.
Please, I highly recommend that you go watch that video either before or after you watch this video to get some more context on who we're about to talk about. But the main topic of that video was the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jeremy Savelle, a man who wrote, directed, funded, and was the lead actor in LaQuisha. I'm sorry to tell you guys, very sorry to tell you, that's not the only movie he made. And whereas I will admit that LaQuisha is definitely a little bit more on the batshit insane scale, this one we're about to talk about is pure psychotic. The movie is called The Test, and let me just read you the description here to give you a solid idea of what we're dealing with. A guy puts his unwitting bride-to-be through a series of increasingly bizarre stress tests to see if she is worthy of marriage. But before we delve into this movie, let's talk a little bit about the ridiculousness of Jeremy Savelle himself. Give a little bit of context before we hop into this massacre. Before he created movies, he was actually an aspiring YouTuber like me. And these videos date back to 11, 13 years ago. He was back like at the beginning of YouTube. And we have classic videos such as Gay Date.
Heterosexual internet dating site.
Is there any other kind? Oh, yeah. I suppose they do have their dating sites. What do they call them? Like Dyke Date or gaydate.com?
And The Judger, Interracial Couple.
I sit in judgment of you, interracial couple.
What the?
And of course, The Girlfriend Trainer.
I would have left her, but I realized most women were like this. What could I do? Why couldn't I apply the same techniques of dog training to women training? I or one of my specially certified girlfriend trainers will come to your home and whip your girl into submission so that when you're done, she'll know exactly who's boss. You are.
Honey, look at this new dress I bought at Saks. I'm so excited. I used that new credit card you gave me, and it was only $400.
No. Bad girl. No. Bad girl.
But make sure to always keep 2 to 3 steps ahead. It's crucial to keep this alpha position, otherwise the girl will get confused and lose a sense of security with you as her master.
He then moved on to something called Trump-O-Vision, which is something I was extremely confused about because I read the description of his YouTube channel and it says this: orgasmically funny comedy from the award-winning filmmaker, actor, comedian Jeremy Savelle, which I just want to mention, I don't know what award he won. I tried to figure that out to see if like I could understand what award, but I could not find any award. New Trump-O-Vision video daily. Subscribe and you won't be sorry. But if you do, you will be money back guaranteed. Make America laugh again. Oh dear God. So Trump-O-Vision is exactly what you think it is. It's just him dressing up like Trump and acting like him.
I got a father of all moms, and I'm actually inventing it. That's why it's a project I'm working on with Jared. It's very exciting, and we call it the FOAB. It's not the Moab, which is the mother of all moms, which is incredible, but so much more powerful. And it's not a nuclear war, it's a quantum bomb.
Even had a website before Trump-ivision. I was only able to find bits and pieces of this website because obviously it's been deleted. And since we are on the topic of social media, pretty much everyone you know and I know uses social media, but not many people actually take security serious. You all need Surfshark VPN. Surfshark VPN keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all the information sent between your device and the internet. And with how, you know, the world is basically run by the internet, you should be taking your security online seriously. Not to mention, if you're using public Wi-Fi, for example, that is a very important time to be using a VPN because that is a huge hotspot for hackers. And it also means it completely changes your online location, which is good for many reasons. For example, say in your country there is a movie, a show, a video that might be blocked. With just a simple click of a button, now you're in a country where that movie, show, or video is unblocked. Now, me being a YouTuber, obviously I use VPNs constantly all the time because my internet security is extremely important. If you haven't gotten a VPN yet, what are you doing with yourself? Use my code, or you can click that link in the description to get 3 months of Surfshark VPN for free. And also, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk about trying it out. So do yourself a favor, click that link in the description and get Surfshark VPN today. However, I will mention all of this shit is like 11 years old. It's old. Like, we can give them the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, I myself had some terrible, awful videos from my past. I'm sure I've even said some very bad things in my past. People change, right? But think about it this way. In 2019, he made LaQuisha. This is not a super old movie. This is 2019. So it's really safe to say that the videos he made back 11 years ago is pretty much the exact same of how he is now. He didn't change for the better. And if you guys are thinking, oh, maybe he was just a little bit ignorant, he didn't understand what he was doing, he learned from his mistakes. However, he actually doubles down. Okay, let's stop talking about LaQuisha. That's not what this video is about. But in time, he eventually made his debut film, The Test, a movie about putting his soon-to-be wife through a bunch of torturous tests in order to see if she is worthy for him. He does multiple things like getting her fired from her job, staging someone breaking into their house and pointing a gun at them, staging his own death, and it only gets worse. I would like to tell you guys this movie is extremely rough. I'm not gonna lie, there's some parts that are gonna be hard to get through, but please bear with me and stick to the end of this video because what happens at the end of this movie, I cannot explain. It's just pure psychotic. When we go through this, if you guys start thinking, oh, this is just ridiculous for comedy, he just isn't really good at making jokes and just thinks making things super ridiculous is funny. However, in an interview, he actually says that there is a merit to the concept of this movie. He actually talks about how this method could work in real life.
Would couples be better off if there was a test? Do you think the divorce rate would be lower?
Well, you know, I think that we do need to base the most important decision of our life on more sound data, if you will.
And even in the same interview, he compares himself to Ben Stiller multiple times and even says the only reason this movie is not that good is because it didn't have enough budget. And he even says that this movie we're about to watch deserves a $200 million budget by how good the script is.
So I thought, oh, you know what? This should be like Ben Stiller's movie. You know, he should star in it and be in 3,000 cineplexes. You know,
right.
Next time, kind of the Ben Stiller route of what he does. You know, sometimes he, you know, writes and directs and stars, but he's got a big crew behind him. So, you know, all things being equal, yeah, I'd like to go back and redo it with a, you know, a $200 million budget. I think it's worthy of that.
But with all of that context, let's get into this movie. Just like LaQuisha, this movie was basically all funded by Seville himself, which I don't understand how this man ends up getting enough money to make 2 feature-length films. So, the movie starts out. We see Julia and Nathan. They get engaged, it's all happy, then we get some opening credits, which looks like a goddamn grade school video project. What is this? Like, I know that the budget was very tight. Don't get me wrong. It would honestly look way better with just solid text. What is this iMovie fade-in glowy shit? Like, anyway, we cut to the boys sucking down some brewskis, talking about the girls, you know, and they're all cheering about how he got engaged except Todd. You see, Todd here, he's an incel and he hates women.
How do you know she's the one? Oh, you mean you get like that special feeling in your happy place when she touches you? Okay, so all those other people that thought they knew and then got divorced, they didn't really know. I guess they just don't have your methodology.
This is stupid.
No. What's stupid is this naive assumption that because you guys have a few things in common and you like crazy every once in a while, you guys are gonna live happily ever after?
He goes off on a tangent about how do you know that she's good enough for you? How do you know that she's not just gonna leave and take half your money like the harlot that she is? He then starts just bringing up constant divorce rates. 50% of men end in divorce. You wanna end up a weekend dad, huh? You know, the classic bro mentality. And I think since we're on this topic, let's just get it out of the way. We're going to have a little bit of pig advice moment here. Now, coming from someone who's been very happily married for 9 years, the reason divorce rates are so high is not because women are gold diggers or men get bored of their wife. It's because people fetishize marriage. Now, what I mean by that is for some reason, people who are in bad relationships weirdly believe the concept that when you get married, it just solves all your problems and everything's gonna be better. And not to mention the crazy amount of marriages solely based on the fact that someone got pregnant. Or because they abstained from sex their entire lives and want to hurry up and get married so they can finally touch the Zebo, you know? Or because of the stereotypical concept of the nuclear trad family. Everyone wants to be married. So when they start getting older, they start panicking that they're never going to be married and never have a perfect family. So they end up rushing into a marriage with someone that they despise, and surprisingly, it doesn't work out. A lot of people just end up settling for someone they really don't love just because that's what they're supposed to do in society, right? You're supposed to get married. I'm not lying. I've seen so many divorces in my life and so many relationships just get destroyed in marriages that are absolutely terrible. And I could tell the moment they got married that it wasn't going to work. Most, if not all, divorces are because people are stupid. That's just the truth. You guys want to know why me and my wife have been happily married for so long and will continue that? It's a simple concept of we're best friends. Now, I know that's fucking crazy to bros out there, but we've been best friends basically since the moment we met. I would rather hang out with my wife than anyone else. The ridiculous amount of men that are married and constantly complain about how much they hate being around their wife. And, oh yeah, I gotta get back to the old lady, fellas. And then they just say, oh, that's just marriage. That's how marriage is supposed to be. You're stupid. Not to mention, I don't understand why people get sad or upset when people get divorced. It's a good thing. It really is a good thing. Now, hear me out here. I know that sounds crazy, but two people are splitting up because they don't work together. They don't love each other. So why, in any sense, would it be a good thing for them to suck it up, hate each other, and ruin their life and their children's lives by fighting all the time and showing their children how a terrible relationship is? Then the children think that that's what marriage is. And then people get sad when they separate. That's a good thing. Sure, it can be hard on children, don't get me wrong, as coming from someone who has dealt with a divorce. But in the long run, it is better. And also one last thing, marriage and weddings are just a scam. There's no point to get married or have a wedding. Like, don't get me wrong, as someone who's married, I completely get why you want to get married, but weddings are stupid. They're dumb.
But your decision is based on a limited set of data. She's on her best behavior right now. You ask any guy who gets married to a crazed tigress in the sack wild banshee, and then once she gets that ring, poof, suddenly she loses the passion for the action.
Maybe because you're marrying someone for the sex and not because you actually like them. So anyway, Todd goes on and talks about Julia like, you know, she's a thing, saying that he needs to test out the goods before he commits, and he needs to gather data on her to make sure that she is worthy. They even start comparing her to a car throughout the movie. This analogy is shoved down your throat throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, they don't just throw cars on the road. They test them over and over again. They do
Tests. They put them through tests in highly stressful situations and see how they hold up under pressure.
So anyway, his bros give him this idea to run Julia through a series of stress tests to make sure that she's worthy for him. And this is so stupid. If you didn't get the analogy already, throughout the movie, they just throw in random clips of a car getting stress tests out of nowhere. It never fits. It never makes sense. They just want to shove that analogy down your throat. So anyway, Nathan gets mad at his boys, goes home to his soon-to-be wife, and I just want to mention, everyone in this movie is a terrible actor, especially all of his bros. It's honestly painful every single time they're on screen. I mean, to be fair, it could just be the dialogue is so bad that it's hard to enjoy. However, Julia, or Kelly Sullivan, she carries the shit out of this movie. I have no idea how she got roped into this movie because she is a great actor. So anyway, Nate talks to Julia and then brings up the fear that she will leave him and take all of his money. Notice how he mentions money. He doesn't say, oh, you're not going to leave me and break my heart. No, he says, you're not going to take half my money, are you?
And we would never, ever, ever do anything to hurt each other. Like, run off with the other guy's money.
She then coincidentally gets a call, and apparently her friend randomly got a divorce. And I guess that was enough to push Nate over the edge, and now they're going to go through with the stress test plan. So he goes back to his bros. They end up making a plan. Ron brings up the idea to kidnap and shoot her.
Todd and I kidnap her, and we shoot her up, and then you get your answers.
Besides, I don't want to hurt her.
He just wants to test her.
Well, it is stressful, especially if we smack her around a little.
That was an actual plan that someone pitched. And you'll notice throughout the movie that the fact that there are no jokes, nothing's really funny. I think that was supposed to be a joke. But the problem is, Seville just thinks that if something is batshit insane and crazy, it equates to being funny, but it just never works. So anyway, Nate comes up with a plan to set her up with a random super handsome rich dude while he spies on her. And this just goes back to that classic stereotypical misogyny. You know, every woman would fall for a man with a bunch of money, a nice car, all that different shit. The dude mentions the square footage of his house, and then all of a sudden she instantly forgets her fiance's name.
All that square footage, it really is unsettlingly quiet.
How big is your house?
Oh, mere 20,000 square feet.
That's enormous.
Your fiance, what's his name?
You know, women, am I right, fellas? And also, he's standing right next to them spying on them. Obviously, someone would notice this. But I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It's a super low budget movie. I'm not going to nitpick at the, bad cinematography. Which, I mean, technically, I should. There are hundreds and thousands of super low budget movies that are beautifully made and super good. So honestly, yeah, I will nitpick. Your movie sucks. But anyway, she comes back to her senses and says no to the man. And if it's not already creepy enough that he ends up spying on her, he takes the footage back to his bro's place and they all watch it on the big screen while they're drinking some brewskis. Then his bros are like, I don't know, man. She forgot your name. I think we need to do some more extreme tests to see if she's for real. And so they double down with the whole every woman is a gold digger idea. And they bring up the idea of what if he lost his job? Would she still stick around? He goes back to Julia, and just like all women, Julia is spending a ridiculous amount of his money on the wedding. You know, guys, a classic woman moment.
So the wedding band's gonna cost a fortune, but it's worth it. I always wanted a small orchestra. I just feel like a rock and roll band isn't classy enough for us.
So then he lies that he got fired. But it doesn't just stop there. He then says he got fired for insider trading.
I'm being accused of insider trading.
You did what?
I didn't do anything. I told you I was accused.
This is one of those moments in the movie that's supposed to be funny, but isn't. Because it ends up just being annoying. Because it doesn't just end there. Like, the whole insider trading bit, it goes throughout the whole movie. It becomes a bit throughout the whole movie. There's moments where he has to convince her parents and then act like he's getting lawyers, and it just goes to show how insanely selfish Nate is. The fact that in an interview, Jeremy Seville actually says that people will empathize with Nate and understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Talk about writing a scene like that where you have to keep the character likable,
right?
But it also has to be funny. Is that a tough dance there?
To answer your question, I think that as long as you just stay with the reality of the situation, it sort of writes itself in a sense. But you have to, play the point of view of what, Nathan is going through, because it's hard for somebody to see when somebody else is letting them down, and they're gonna, but if you watch the movie, you'll see what happens.
No, we won't. But the whole time he just keeps telling Julia, I feel bad for me. This happened to me. And Julia, you know, being a woman and all, started panicking about how he can't afford a fancy wedding anymore. She even tells him to sell his assets to have money for the wedding. A classic woman moment, am I right, fellas?
I can't believe this is happening to me.
You, before it was me. This should be me. This happened to me. And now we're gonna probably have to scale back on the wedding.
What? Well, can't you sell some stuff?
Like what, Amway?
I mean, some of your assets.
You want me to sell my Beamer?
This whole scene is basically him trying to say that Nate is the sane one in the situation and she's the crazy one. Because, you know, all women want a completely lavish wedding and all women only care about themselves on their wedding day. Again, a classic woman moment. And then Julia talks to her friend and basically her friend is trying to convince her not to be with him because he doesn't have any money. Even though he probably is going to jail for insider trading. Because, you know, that's a thing. Julia then convinces her dad to get Nate lawyers, you know, because the whole insider trading thing. But we move on to the next portion. He starts talking to his bros again. You know, I honestly do find it hilarious that every time he's with his bros, they're always doing something bro-y. Man, I've been doing this a lot this video. I'm going to try to stop. But, you know, drinking beer, playing pool, playing basketball, ping pong, watching him spy on his fiance on a big projector screen. Really gives off the whole man cave vibes. And no joke, after everything that's happened so far, they say that, well, now since she'll believe anything you do, like this gigantic insider trading lie you did, you won't get caught when you end up going on a business trip with another woman.
So that's good for potentially so many reasons.
Yeah, like if you get caught taking a business trip with another woman.
Huh? What? This whole movie is about how he wants to make sure she is faithful and won't do anything to hurt her. But at the same time, you're making jokes about cheating on her when you weren't even married yet? Yep, you know what? That checks out. That makes sense.
Because I didn't do my duty.
Did he say duty? He just said my duty.
So after all of this, apparently, he still can't trust her. So they push the envelope a little further, and this time, they get her fired from her job. And you want to know the reason why the boss agreed to getting her fired? Is because he loved Nate's idea, because he's been divorced 3 times.
You got my fiance fired because the publisher is a frat brother?
Yes, I did.
So anyway, Julia starts going crazy and panicking naturally because she's a woman.
I think I'm cursed. First you, then me. What happened? We were doing so well.
I thought you said it was okay if I lost my job.
That's because I had a job and I was gonna support us. Now we're both fucked. And you might be going to jail.
But I'm innocent. Look, you've got to calm down.
I am distraught. I am frantic. Why does God hate us?
And this is where I kind of get whiplash about this movie. So in the beginning, you know, it was the boys' idea to do the stress test. So Nate does some of these tests, then he did another one, and then the boys pushed him to do it again, right? And then the next one, the bros even help him get her fired because the whole time they say he's going too far. But then other times they help him and then tell him to do more.
Still don't know if I can trust her.
You're creating these heinously deceptive scenarios, yet you're not sure if you can trust her.
But what if she didn't?
You want me to get her fired? The stress test, remember? You don't put a car on the road unless it survives a battery of unbelievable tests and withstands the punishment.
So then we get a scene where Nate starts blaming everything on Todd.
It's too cruel.
It was your idea.
Flashback.
She said she still had her job so you guys wouldn't be destitute. But what if she didn't? It was your idea.
Yeah, but these aren't real world conditions anymore. They're too extreme.
It's a stress test. You remember the car analogy?
You guys remember the analogy? Did you forget about the analogy? Well, they reminded you in case you forgot. So anyway, he tells Todd that he's done. He's going too far. This is too cruel. This is ridiculous. What person would do this? He said that getting her fired was too cruel, right? Remember that. Because what comes next is something else. So we cut back to Julia, and she's coming to terms with, you know, being homeless.
Julia.
I was just sitting here imagining how it would be to be homeless. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
So after he sees that she is willing to be homeless with him, he tells her that he got his job back. And then she gets her job back. So everything goes back to normal. They get married. That's it. That's the movie. I wish that was the end. Oh, you guys aren't prepared for what's next. And after that, after everything we just went through. He says this.
For fun, we saw how she'd react if our lives were threatened by a masked gunman. If somebody shot at me, would she throw herself in front of the bullet?
See, the thing about this part, he's trying to be funny. Like I said before, he's trying to write jokes here. But there's no pun. And his friend calls it genius.
No, but setting up your girl with a masked gunman just to see if she'd take a bullet for you, it's fucking genius, actually.
In the next scene, his friend comes in with a gun and points it at them. And then in the middle of it, he gets in an argument with his wife about why she won't take a bullet for him in this situation.
Aren't you gonna say, don't kill him, kill me instead?
Honey, I don't want either of us to be killed.
Yeah, but if one of us has to go.
Honey, you just told him not to kill me and to kill you instead.
I know, but don't you want to return the favor?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe if the scene was delivered a little bit different, it could have potential to be somewhat funny. It's just psychotic. It's pure psychotic. All that's happening in this movie is Nate, or Jeremy Seville, is just playing out his sick fantasies in his head. So next, because yes, there is still more, he talks to his buddy Todd again. And even after she said that she would take a bullet for him, it's still not enough. He's not satisfied.
I'm willing to die for you. Now will you just drop it?
Oh, you should have seen old Ken.
The test, how'd she do?
Nothing conclusive. This whole taking a bullet thing, I mean, it's highly suspect. Just tell me you do it just to yes me off. I mean, it does not leave me with a good taste in my mouth. B minus? No way. I need an A. I need an overachiever when it comes to the mother of my child and her undying loyalty to me in the face of disaster.
Like, what kind of line is that? Undying loyalty? Is she your goddamn slave? But anyway, yes, he wants to mess with her even more.
You fake your own death, and you see how much she cries at your funeral. Then you stick around and see how long it takes before she hooks up with some other guy. And just when she's in danger of becoming an old maid, you pop up along with Elvis and Jim Morrison and you say, surprise, we fooled you.
What is that line? What? So his next step is to fake his own death and act like he's in a coma.
Coma?
Oh my God. That's twisted evil genius. How do you maneuver something like this masterpiece of deception? How do you execute a plan so brilliant when in God's green earth we know there's no possible way you could pull it off? What with the medical issues and the family disturbances? I mean, just the general faking of the vital stats alone would take the virtuoso skills on the level of a Houdini to pull off.
He literally is writing lines into his own movie about how good his writing is and how amazing these ideas are. He did the same shit in LaQuisha, where he's stroking his own cock in his writing.
When looked at in this particular situation, I'm gonna have to counsel against him.
Why?
Okay, now after he said all of that shit, he's going against it? All right, this movie makes no fucking sense. See what I mean about the dialogue? They're just back and forth. They're completely for it. He talks about how insanely genius the writing and the idea is. And then he says, you know what, that's wrong. We shouldn't do that. God, the writing is so bad. There's another car crash scene in here again, in case you guys missed the analogy. So anyway, he's in a coma, apparently from a car crash, even though there's no bruises, no scratches, no nothing. But again, low budget film, I'll give it to him. And that coma's over within like a few hours as his eyes open, and then just when you think it can't get worse, he fakes that he has amnesia.
Where am I?
And this doesn't just go on for like a few hours, maybe a few days. He continually acts like he has amnesia for 3 weeks. And then to make matters worse, he mocks people who have to go through physical therapy by just flopping around and swinging his arms around and rolling around in the grass, because I guess that's what people do who have to work to build up their motor skills again.
It's been almost 3 weeks and he's getting a little better. He still doesn't remember much of what happened before the accident.
Just another moment of him trying to be funny and completely missing the mark. So, we're at a dinner table. Julia and him are eating. All of a sudden, she says that she thinks she might end up being with someone else if he never remembers her. And then he just comes back, from being brain dead. He just snap, boom, he's back. He remembers everything. And I just want to say, Kelly Sullivan acted the shit out of this little monologue here. I'm not going to lie. She actually can make you feel emotions by just her acting in this monologue. Very well done.
Both of us had horrible things happen to each other. It didn't matter because we loved each other. And that was all that was important. And I think about being with someone else if you never come back. But the truth is, I don't want someone else. But I don't want the non-you either. And I don't know if you're ever gonna come back, so I guess I'm screwed.
So anyway, finally, we're at the wedding. The movie is almost over. And Todd starts talking about how he wants to write a book about his method because it's so genius and all the men in the world need to learn about this method. Because once again, Jeremy Seville has to stroke his own writing within the movie or it wouldn't be a Jeremy Seville movie. Julia, of course, finds out about everything that he's been doing to her because she overheard the bros talking.
You came up with the idea to play a practical joke on her?
Practical joke? Is that what he told you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded kind of twisted, but hell, he gave me $500, so I didn't ask too many questions.
Naturally calls off the wedding, yells at Nate, calls everything off. Now everyone hates Nate, which, you know, good. Fuck that guy. But he ends up throwing a pity party for himself. Oh, woe is me. No one likes me because I manipulated my fiance and put her through hell. So a few months pass. She ends up going on a date with that actor from the beginning of the movie, you know, with all the money. She then calls Nate, who is again throwing himself a pity party and trying to display a stereotype of depression.
Hello?
Hi, Nathan.
Oh my God. Julia? Oh, I can't believe it's you. How much I miss you. And I beg your forgiveness.
I'm great. Listen, I don't really have time to talk. I just wanted to say thank you for setting me up with such a great guy.
I didn't set you up with anybody.
Yes, you did. Trent.
Hell yeah. You go, Julia. Kick him while he's down. He deserves this shit, is what I would be saying. But what happens at the end of this movie, oh God. You are not ready for what's about to happen. So she goes on a date with Trent, super handsome dude, and then she sees a man in the street, and it looks like he's about to kill himself. And when he's laying in the middle of the road, she goes out to find it to be none other than Nate. And he is telling her that he's gonna kill himself because he isn't with her. And not only that, but they make Julia out to be the bad person. He wrote lines for Julia that is just her saying, yeah, go ahead and kill yourself. Yeah, I don't care. It's just Nate. Kill yourself.
Nate? What are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm killing myself.
Well, good luck with that.
Don't do it, buddy.
No, it's okay. He can do it.
Julia.
It's okay. It's Nate.
Doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
What do you think I'm doing here?
I know. You're killing yourself.
Julia, that's a little callous.
Hey.
Okay, I'm just saying he looks a little down on his luck, and you don't want to push him over the edge. He is laying in the middle of the street. He's got a pretty good chance of killing himself.
He's bluffing. It's just another one of his sick pranks. He won't do it.
So, I didn't want to live anymore. And I just wanted to see your face one last time.
And he wanted to see her one last time before he kills himself, which is already fucking insane. He is actually threatening to kill himself to her. The whole movie has been a selfish mess of hell put on his fiance to see if she's worthy for him, right? Then when she breaks it off, he's gonna threaten to kill himself. And the worst part about this, the reason I told you to stick around until the end of this, is Julia, after everything he put her through, says that he is better than her and that she didn't pass his test.
When you have real love, you can't just abandon that person, even though they did something that no self-respecting person would ever imagine forgiving them for. And now that I see you here, I realize that I failed your test. I'm worse than you. So don't go killing yourself because of me, Nate.
I'm not joking. Words cannot describe how utterly insane this man is to write something so fucking ridiculous. And then at the end of the movie, they start pulling this stupid bullshit. Oh, love is crazy, right? Love makes us crazy.
Why are you laughing?
Because we're crazy. First me and now you.
I'm not crazy. I'm just seeing things for what they are.
Oh, you're crazy. That's what I thought when I was doing all that stuff to you, in the name of sanity.
Because love makes you crazy.
Is he crying? Is that what that is? That is the worst cry I've ever seen in my goddamn life.
And then you have to really bring up these heavy and accurate and, you know, sincere emotions.
Right.
Love makes you crazy.
And then in the end, they get married. They actually get married in the end of the movie. Oh God. Oh, I can't deal with this shit. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The masterpiece, The Test. If you guys like this video, please subscribe. Because again, I say this every time I do videos like this. I went through hell for this bullshit. Please subscribe and share this video with everyone you know, so they also can witness the batshit insanity that I had to witness. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one.